Hi, this is Greg Johnson with resourcesforlife.com, and this is a brief video about my recent move from a small off-the-grid cottage, a 10 by 7 cottage, to a smallish apartment in the downtown Iowa City area. I had one of the comments on Facebook, or somebody actually wrote to me through Facebook and was asking how living in an apartment compares with living in the tiny house, and they wondered, which I preferred. And of course, it's hard to say. Each living situation presents its own benefits and challenges, but I must say, I really do, of many places that I've lived, I really do like living in the downtown Iowa City area, and I suppose, downtown living probably isn't the same from one community to another, but in Iowa City there's so much to see and do just in a short small 5-block radius that really makes it very nice to just walk out your front door and have 2 grocery stores within about 2 blocks and world-class library. In fact, the Iowa City Public Library is the most used library in all of Iowa. And so, I really like living downtown, and certainly being in the downtown area and having those benefits kind of rules out the possibility of living in a tiny house because of zoning rules. The city would not allow somebody to build a tiny cottage downtown off the grid. One concern I had was moving into the downtown area, which is basically where I'm at right now here. I was worried it would be noisy, but if you can hear right now, there's really minimal background noise. There's a little bit of traffic on Gilbert Street is over here to my left, east of where I am right now. But even that subsides for much of the day on into the evening. I was concerned about the weekend bar crowd, but that and the football games and such, but really it's been fairly quiet, I've found, in the downtown area. You either have these older buildings like this one here. I'll just point to one. You get these kind of older construction, which are usually pretty quiet buildings. They're made out of brick or stone, or you get the new construction, which is also fairly good. So as I have spoken on a few occasions before, living in a small space, you end up outsourcing a lot of the amenities. So I still, would go to the gym when I was in the tiny cottage, when I wanted to work out. Now I work out at home. I have a trampoline that I exercise on. $50 trampoline, stores easily, in the closet or wherever. And so, that's fine, and that saves me a trip to the gym. It is nice to have a shower close by. Ideally, and I've mentioned this before, ideally I think it would be wonderful to be part of a small cottage community where you could essentially live in your own little cabin and then share a larger kitchen and exercise room, showers, that type of thing with neighbors. But that kind of a living situation doesn't really present itself here in the Iowa City area, unfortunately. So there really aren't that many options other than either living in an apartment or, I'm just going to cut through here, living in an apartment or living in a large home. The small home is really kind of unique in any urban center because you do have to get permission to do that, and most cities are a little bit leery, other than some progressive communities where they're allowing what they call accessory dwelling units. They're really not permitting these tiny houses. So being kind of on the fringes of what was acceptable or legal from a housing standpoint, that was not always the best sense. But no, it worked well for 6 years, and I certainly enjoyed being essentially living in almost like being in a cabin in the woods. It was close to downtown, but still, a 10-minute bike ride. Anyway, nothing really comes to mind in terms of, something that I really hated about that experience or that I dislike about the new experience or whatever, they're, like I say, both have their benefits. It's nice to be in a slightly larger space. I feel like there are more opportunities to entertain. If I want to have people over, I can do that. My work involves computers, and so I do need somewhere to be able to plug into electricity. In the past, I've been able to do a lot of my work on site, on location, where my clients are. But having an office at home, that's helpful. So because at least presently there aren't really opportunities to have tiny house communities in the Iowa City area, I feel like this is a good option. And I guess the other thing I'd want to point out is some of the the possibilities for having a small house community in this area. Most of those would involve being 5-10 miles away from where I work. So that's going to be a little bit too much year-round for, let's say, riding a bike. And that means owning a car, so that's another $300, $400, $500 a month, depending on what kind of car it is, what kind of mileage it gets, etc. So the trade-offs of being able to live in a small house village, let's say 10 miles away, or being able to live downtown, I'd almost rather live downtown and be able to walk or ride my bike pretty much everywhere, rather than be away from the city, out in the countryside somewhere, and then having to drive a car and depend on that. So anyway, I hope that answers some of the questions that people have been having about the transition from this tiny house to apartment living. And if you have any more questions, feel free to email or get in touch with me on Facebook. Take care.